Hi, this is Zach with Worn&Wound. Today I'm excited to take a look at the Orient Bambino FER2400BWO. This is going to be fun to take a look at because we've actually already reviewed this watch. We reviewed the Bambino, a different version of it, one with a black dial and big applied mark indices, just almost exactly 2 years ago. And this is the first time we're going to kind of take a second look at a watch, which is a lot of fun because in 2 years we've seen so many more watches that I kind of have a new perspective on things. And I can tell you right off the bat that this watch still is very unique, and the second you see it and you know the pricing of it, it's really kind of a remarkable watch, and that explains why it's epically popular, and this particular model is sold out. So the difference here is really in the dial, the hands, also the crown, but the overall watch is the same, and it comes in at a great price of like $180 after a 30% discount code. So it's really almost unbeatable for a very stylish, mechanical, kind of dress casual watch with vintage styling. So yeah, let's take a closer look. The case of the Orient Bambino FER2400BWO is the same as all the other Bambinos. It's the same as the one we looked at 2 years ago, except for the crown has been changed to this kind of cool onion crown, which I like. It's a little bit more stylish, a little more stylized. Before it was kind of a standard crown, which might have slightly contrasted the aesthetic that was going on, but here, they just made it a little bit better. But it's really just striking about this case, and like I said, after 2 years of more watches, is just how unique it is. I mean, from the top, it's kind of perhaps a little bit standard looking, definitely has a vintage look. It's 40.5 millimeters wide, it's about 46 millimeters lug to lug, and 12 millimeters tall. And when you look at it from the side, I think is really where this watch comes to life, and really how it stands out. First, you have this really delicate mid case that's been brushed along the side. It is polished on the top. I mean, even there on a $182 watch, the fact that there's a mix of finishing and it's even, it's well executed, even though it's subtle, you don't see that. You often have just single finishing on watch cases. Then you have this crazy domed mineral crystal, which is one of my, I think, favorite crystals I've ever seen. It's so tall, so dramatic. Where it could have been acrylic to be more authentic, I think they went with the kind of more commercially viable option of a mineral crystal here, so you have improved scratch resistance, and it's really, really gorgeous, and it adds some distortion on the dial, just absolutely beautiful, and really something to behold that makes this watch just much nicer than I think you anticipate it's going to be. Flipping over, really standard case back screw down, nothing really special going on there, but it's also just, simple execution. The dial of this Orient is really where it comes to life. The one that we looked at 2 years ago had a black surface on it and faceted large steel markers on it and very little else, and had a very kind of mid-century 50s look to it. This to me speaks more to early 20th century, 20s, 30s, and it's really beautifully executed, and I have to commend them on kind of giving a watch in this price such a kind of sophisticated look. The dial surface on this particular color, there's a few different colors with this dial layout, but this one is, I think, exceptionally beautiful. It has kind of a pearlescent domed dial surface. It's white, but it has a sunburst effect to it, so you get like an iridescence out of it. It's definitely more interesting than a flat white would be. And then this primary index is rose gold, obviously not pure rose gold, but like a PVD implied markers that just work perfectly against that pearlescent dial. They're absolutely gorgeous. It adds sophistication to this that I think well exceeds, a $182 watch. I mean, I don't think this watch looks at all like what it actually costs, which is kind of part of the value, the charm of it. Outside of that primary index, you have a much more finely printed minute or second index that gets down to kind of very precise second, sub-second marks in there. And then on the outside of that, you actually have yet another index, which is almost redundant. I don't think it's really needed, obviously, for telling the time, but it kind of fills out that space. And it looks good. Like, you don't kind of second guess it, though I don't really see a functional purpose for it. At 3 o'clock, you have a date window here, black number on white surface, matches with the dial fine. I would almost love to see a date-free version of this, but I understand a lot of people, like having the date. Below 12, Orient logo, you have the applied crest, which has like two lions on the sides of a shield, also in rose gold. I think that's nicely proportioned to the dial, feels right. Above 6, you have water resist. I mentioned it's pretty limited. It's probably like 30 meters or so. Overall, though, it's just a truly beautiful combination going on here. And once again, actually, the hands here are also different. The hands on the original were much larger Dauphine hands. These are slimmer, a little bit more elegant, also in rose gold, with the rose gold second hand, picking up the index. Just a great combination. On the wrist, the new Bambino is really gorgeous. The size of this watch I think is sometimes contentious because it is larger than a vintage watch ever would be at 40.5, but it has great presence, and I think it's, you have to maybe ignore the fact that it looks vintage because it's not a vintage watch. It's a modern interpretation, and it's one that in its own way works very, very well. This version is much dressier than the one we looked at before, and I think it's just a really, really nice mix of things to become a day-to-day watch, a great office watch, definitely something you could throw on if you need to go to a setting that is more formal, but doing that and not breaking the bank. Like if you only have sport watches, you need something dressy, this is like an incredible option for an affordable piece to do that. The colors here, I mean, it's so beautiful. This is kind of like a silvery blue shirt I have on. I think the brown, the rose gold just looks so good with that. It would look good with gray. I mean, it's really a versatile looking watch. The lug width here is 21 millimeters. That was something that annoyed me a little bit with the original because 21 is obviously hard to come by. You can kind of push a 22 in there, but that gets a little messy too. So, you're going to be using it with this strap a lot. Luckily, this strap is very nice. The actual feel of it's a little stiff, a little plasticky, but it breaks in fine. It's totally comfortable. But the color choice here is really, really good. It's a very, very dark brown with kind of hints of kind of crimson and black in it. So it's really kind of a rich color that I think really accentuates the brightness of the pearlescent and the rose gold markers here. It's a very nice combination. One that I don't think you really need to switch up too much, especially if you're only wearing this watch occasionally. To wrap up, the new Orient Bambino is just as awesome as the original Orient Bambino, and it offers a really new and intriguing aesthetic in their more formal, more early 20th century dial design. And the new crown, I think, is actually very cool. It's very appropriate. We love the original watch, and I loved it a few years ago because of its inexpensive price point, but the fact that you really get a lot of style at that price point. I mean, being affordable isn't enough to make a watch great. It has to also, be worth it still. And in uniqueness and execution, these watches just really, they're kind of in their own class. Nobody else is making a watch quite like the Orient Bambino, and it's more affordable than a lot of vintage watches would be even, and it's a modern watch with a modern Japanese-made automatic movement in it. There's just so much going on here. I mean, it sells itself. If you're looking for a watch that's a little bit more formal, if you already have another Orient Bambino, I mean, this is like, you could definitely have both of these. It would be fun to have both, to switch them on and off. This colorway in particular is just perfect. They really nailed it with the rose gold indexes. It's something that I wish we saw more often, frankly. It's just very, very classy, and the right level of formal dress without being ostentatious. Looks great with steel. So yeah, I mean, $260 is the MSRP. Once again, you can get that for $182 though with a coupon code. You can enter actually Worn&Wound at checkout, and you can get that 30% off, plus I think a few extra little perks. So definitely do that if you're going to pick this one up. These ones go fast, so I would jump on it. Please read the full review, Worn&Wound. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Thank you.